to install an all-new fence, All Around Fence has the answers for you. Visit them Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or give them a call at 724-439-0331. To learn more, visit allaroundfence.com.
And it's 3:14 on this Monday afternoon. Time for Raising the Region with Fay Penn Economic Development Council, and Lori Scott's here with us. Lori, how are you today?
I'm good, TJ. How are you?
Doing well. And you have a special guest with you.
I do. So
special's the right word. Thanks, TJ.
You're welcome.
I knew you liked me.
I got your back.
So today I have Mark Rafel, who is the Economic Development Coordinator with the county. So thank you, Mark, for joining me today.
No problem, Lori. Thank you.
We come to you, Raising the Region comes to you every second and fourth Monday of the month. And, we like to talk about things that are making our area better. And we usually have, we have on the show, a guest that is talking about something special that they are doing or that their organization is doing. But I wanted to take some time today to kind of maybe take a step back or kind of go back to the basics. I think sometimes people don't understand economic development or what what our roles are, and I wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the things that some initiatives and projects that Fay Penn's working on, and some of the things that the county is working on, that we're working on together and with other groups and people and organizations, because there are so many people in Fayette County doing so many wonderful things. It's hard to really kind of separate them all out.
And I think what people don't understand is it takes an army to do this. One person, one group can't do it. Right. And for years we've all been doing it, but not as well, in my opinion, as we have the last 3 or 4 years.
Right.
I saw a big difference. When I first got hired, it was like, okay, Fay Penn was doing their thing, the county was doing their thing, and then we were like, where's everything at? So I think what's nice, in my opinion, and we prove it because not only are we meeting today on the radio, but then you and I and Tim Flecker from Fay Penn, Andrew French from the Redevelopment Authority, and Muriel Nuttall meet every 2 weeks to talk about and to strategize on what we're working on to make sure that the county is moving forward.
Right. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is we've kind of formed a Fayette County Economic Development Coalition. Mm-hmm. I think we kind of call ourselves.
That's what the minutes say.
But to actually bring all of this information to a town hall type setting once a quarter. Yeah. And next week we actually have our second one that's actually going to be focused on housing. We're going to kind of talk about that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But so that's another way that, kind of working together and trying to really make Fayette County the great place that it is, that we all know it is, and to make it attractive for businesses and people to come here.
I think it's to showcase it.
Absolutely.
And let people know that. And one thing that we've seen, the communities that don't work together are the ones left behind.
Right.
And that's what we don't want to be, and that's what we're not. We're working every day to make sure those 4 groups plus, because it's not just those 4 groups. We're working with the commission. My job as Economic Development Coordinator was to be the liaison between the commissioners and not only Fay Penn and the other organizations, but also all of the municipalities.
Right.
Because it's something that wasn't happening for a long time, and we want to see that change, and we're making the big change. I mean, one of the things let's start with talking about what economic development is, because you're right. We know what it is.
Right.
Or at
'cause I
least we
know
think we do.
You've been in this world for quite a number of years. I know I've been at Fay Penn now for almost 13 years. I was at the newspaper before that. So yeah, we understand it, but we want everyone here to kind of understand it as well. And I'll just kind of, start with, what is economic development and why is it important for the county?
So, you sent the questions over, and I appreciated that. And I sat there and I thought, well, it's easy. It's bringing businesses to the county, but that's not all it is. Economic development refers to efforts to improve the economy and to build the base and to build a better life for everybody. Because when your economy is booming, everything is booming, and we see that nationally. We see that statewide. The governor's action team is now working on a statewide economic development strategic plan. Those are the things that we see, and we realize that without a strong local base and without local businesses, the infrastructure, it's all vital, and without it, we lose population. And I know the naysayers out there are first thing they're going to say is, well, we're losing population in Fayette County. Yes, we are. But so is every other county in this state. There's very little counties that are growing. And those ones that are growing are the ones that are organized, that are doing the things that we're starting to do now, that we're getting in. There's no, like I said earlier, no more silos. We got to work together, and that's what we're working on. And economic development is very important because that's what keeps our young kids here. That's what grows our base. That's what is going to turn us around. Right,
and I think, focusing on the assets that we have here in Fayette County and expanding on those, that's how we can make this economy here better. Again, like you said, every place is, losing people, but the ones that are growing are finding those little niches that they can really kind of focus on. Here, obviously, we have, our wonderful, our natural resources, proximity to markets, and we'll get into a little bit more of that, but it really does boil down to a quality of life, in being able to then bring people here and kind of support and retain the jobs we have here, bring in new jobs, new businesses. So I'll just talk a little bit about, I guess, what Fay Penn does, and then maybe you can talk then a little bit about kind of the county's role. Because I know, I know what we do is can be misconstrued sometimes, as far as how our organization is structured. So if you don't know already, Fay Penn we are a nonprofit organization that serves as a catalyst for economic, community development, quality of life. We help to attract and retain businesses, support local entrepreneurs. We provide access to financing and developing. We do industrial and commercial development as well. And we just really advocate for the economic interests of our region. And, again, focusing on the great assets that we do have here and what types of businesses will do well here. And what kind, what the type of workforce that they need. So tell us, I guess, a little bit about what the county's role is. So I mentioned a little bit what we do, but really, I like to classify my department as the dot connector. If Fay Penn has something they're working on, and you need information or you need to communicate to one of the municipalities, I'm that conduit between Fay Penn and that municipality. Same with the commissioners. If the commissioners have a question for Fay Penn, I reach out to you
and then we start that conversation and get the ball rolling. So really the county's
Right.
economic development office does does similar stuff to what Fay Penn does. The difference is I have one person in my office and you guys have a team of people.
Right.
So it's nice because I can lean on you just as much as you guys lean on me. It's awesome that and I keep going back to this, that we work so well together. And I'm talking about the entire group at Fay Penn and the entire county. Whereas 20 years ago, Fay Penn was the only thing out there. There was no economic development office. Well, 5 years ago, there was no economic development coordinator.
Right.
And that's something that the three commissioners saw that they needed, because they didn't want to waste time. And that's what it's about. It's about the faster in this world with economic development, the faster you get back to people, the better chance you have of retaining them or bringing them into the community.
Right. Well, and you as the county, you have access to some different resources
Right.
as well,
Right.
that maybe we don't have access
Yeah.
to, and vice versa. So, then working together, we can all kind of lean on each other.
So you talked
to
about
help.
business loans. Something the county did when I got on was we created the infrastructure bank.
Right.
So we lend money because Fay Penn can't lend money to government entities, to municipalities or to
Right.
authorities, but the county can.
Correct.
So we borrow money and help them build the infrastructure to get to the Fay Penn development areas, or the county redevelopment has Thompson's Crossing over on Northgate, off of Northgate, and that in North Union Township, which they're getting ready to start moving earth. And one of the things that we did was we lent them money to help them move that earth
Right.
and prepare it for a business park. So that's the neat thing about it. Yes, we can get different funding than you can, and vice versa. So it really works well.
Definitely. So let's talk somewhat about our strengths and our challenges in Fayette County in regards to our economy.
So let's talk challenges first,
Okay.
because I want to end that portion of this conversation on a happy note.
Right.
And challenges are never happy, but they are, because it actually helps us learn what we need to look at. So
Definitely.
a couple of the challenges: the workforce shortage. We all know that. We know that we don't have the workforce in Fayette County, but that's everywhere. It's not just here. This isn't a unique thing that we see here only.
Right.
So we're working on figuring ways around that, and one of those is limited housing. Fay Penn did a study, 2 years ago?
Right. Yes.
99% of the rental houses in Fayette County are rented. There's not enough houses to go around. It's good if you're a landlord, but it's bad if you're looking for a house, if you're looking to rent a house. And the same, we see that when you buy houses too. We don't see the large developments like we see in other areas around us. And it's because we don't have, it's the chicken and the egg. It really is.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, yeah. So what we're going to talk about it later on. The roundtable that we're going to have next week on August 6th is about housing.
Yes.
And we want to know, we want developers to come, we want builders to come, and we want the citizens of Fayette County to come and tell us and hear what we've learned, so that we can build more houses, so that we can get the people here, and we can have the ability to say, okay, Mr. XYZ company, you're bringing in 500 new jobs. Not only do we have the workforce, but we also are going to have housing if you have to bring workforce in, because they still have to bring in their bosses. They still have to bring in the people who know their business already.
Right.
And then I talked about infrastructure. Our infrastructure is either aging and not doing well, or we don't have infrastructure in areas. I mean, it's sad when you don't have water in a community, and the first thing they ask you when a company is looking at that land is, I need water.
Right.
And
exactly.
Or electric.
Yes.
And some of the things we have no control over. Electric, we have no control over. other than telling the power companies, hey, we need your help. And they work with us too. That's the nice thing. I've sat in Fay Penn's office with West Penn Power. I've sat in there with the Columbia Gas, with People's Gas, with, different groups trying to figure out ways to make the infrastructure better in Fayette County. So those are the real challenges, and the biggest one is just getting people to understand that we're here and we're going to make this happen. Whether they believe it or not, whether the outside companies believe it, we're going to make it happen. Because one thing I can say about Fayette County, we've always survived.
Definitely. Yeah. And we've always been able to, I think, pivot when we need to, to focus maybe on a different industry or something like that. But you're absolutely right. We've always fought. We've always survived here, and we have resources that, we have great resources here that are, what do I want to say, attractive to businesses.
Right.
We get calls constantly from businesses from outside the area that, that want to come here, and we want to be able to bring them here.
And the thing is, we have international, world-renowned businesses here.
We do.
That people don't even know.
We do.
It's funny to say that, but it's sad to say it at the same time. But it's the same in everything. I mean, I have friends who have lived in Fayette County all their lives and have never been to Falling Water.
Right.
And that amazes me, because we have people that come from all over the world to see Falling Water. And that's, so you asked about strengths. That's one of the strengths that we have.
Yes,
the
definitely.
natural beauty of the area, the accessibility. One of the things that I get asked all the time is how far, we need to be within a day's travel of major metropolitan areas. Well, if you take a pin and put it at Fayette County, and you draw a 500-foot circle or a 500-mile radius, which is a day's travel, according to the trucking industry, the shipping industry, we hit Chicago, New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Baltimore, down even further into Georgia. And people don't realize that. When you look at the map, you think, oh, we're just in the corner of Pennsylvania. We're really in a good spot.
We are.
I don't care what anybody says. Our radius to get anywhere and to get goods anywhere is in great locations. And we have transit systems, too. We have trains. We have roads. Our roads are in good shape. They're getting better. We're getting more and more. And those are the things that we gotta ride that wave,
Right.
And then the tourism potential is just out crazy here. I mean, we talked about Fayette County being fighters. This is where the French and Indian War started. This is where freedom started. This is where the United States started. And it amazes me that people don't even realize that a lot of times. Yeah.
The history here, I mean, is just it's so interesting, and really, with the national road coming directly through the county, we have Ohio Powell with Class 5 water, water rapids, which I think we're only like one of like maybe 2 or 3 like in the country, areas that have this. It draws so many tourists, and then not to mention the bike trails and the access to other trails that people can get from here.
And those trails are becoming, because of bikes, because of e-bikes, because of the way the trails are being built, they're becoming ways to get to work.
Absolutely. That alternative transportation.
We look at with the Sheepskin Trail, once it's completed, it'll put all 5 of your business parks together.
Yes.
Able to get to by not using a road at all, by just using the trails, which is incredible. I've been to Honda of America in Ohio, and they put walking trails around their retention ponds. We're going to have walking trails that you could actually walk from, or ride a bike, or get from one business park to the other, and they're not right next door to each other.
Right.
So that's incredible, because it's something that you don't see in most areas, but we're putting that in. And Fay Penn is stepping up, and they're helping with that now, which is awesome, because it's something that we've been working on, and it'll connect to the Gap, which then will connect to DC, which then will connect to, it's amazing how much we'll have, again, back in that accessibility to get businesses here.
Right. And along with kind of building that trail system, you have that alternative transportation route, but then just the potential for more businesses to locate on, along the trail. I think it's an economic opportunity to bring in more people to live here, more people to travel through here, and more businesses.
Well, and you see it more and more, because, even like the smaller trails, like you talked about the trails, the Rotary Walk in downtown Uniontown, it's, and I'm a Rotarian, so I'm a little biased of that Rotary Walk. 5 years ago, it got washed away, and the grass was crazy high. The weeds were around it. Well, the Rotary stepped up and got a grant from the county, and we've paved it. We hired a contractor. Joe Walkus, a personal friend of mine, stepped up, and he said he'll cut it for us. So he's cutting the grass for us. So it works well. And those are the things, and he's a small business. So that helps
Right.
a small business, And people don't think, oh, trails don't do anything. Well, they're wrong. Trails do things, and they don't take money from the economy. They bring money into the economy. It amazes me to go, if you go to the Gap, bless you.
Excuse me.
If you go to the Gap in Connellsville, you see the new businesses there. I mean, look at the hotel just added on a conference center.
Right.
And something that 20 years ago was never even thought of in Connellsville. Now it's a destination. I mean, it's gorgeous. You sit there, and it has a restaurant within it. So those are the things that we're seeing happening.
Right. And it takes time too. That's another thing, economic development, it is not quick, although we want it to be quick. It takes a while for things to happen. But like you said, kind of, like in Connellsville, with the new restaurant, the River's Edge, and the conference center, there's other businesses, and there are other entrepreneurs in Connellsville, buying property near the trail and along the trail, and that have ideas and are going to be, doing
and not
really
just
great
ideas,
things.
but have plans.
Right.
And that's the key, and I know we're going to talk about this later on, is grants and things like that for businesses. People, how many calls do you get a day that they say to you, hey, I need a grant to start a business? Well, listen,
We would love to be able to give everyone a grant to start a business.
First of all, there is no grants for businesses that are for-profit businesses.
Right.
There's loans, there's help, but there's not a grant program that you could just get a grant. And the thing is, what I always tell people, before you even look for a grant, get a business plan together. Prove that this will work. Or loan.
It's
because,
so important.
And people just don't get that. They think, I've had more, and it's all ranges of people. They'll call you up and say, hey, I want to open this, da-da-da-da-da. And that's like, that's awesome. What's your plan? Well, that is my plan. No, I need to know every plan, everything that could go wrong. You need to have all that in paper.
Well, that's a nice, that's a nice little segue into.
I've done this
some
once or
of
twice.
some of the services that we're actually able to provide with Fay Penn is that we have a great partnership with the St. Vincent Small Business Development Center, and their executive director he comes to Fayette County twice a month and works with businesses. No, for it costs nothing. It costs a business, or you don't even have to have your business put together yet, but it costs nothing to put that plan together and some financial projections. And it's such a great starting point for anybody.
And that's how you get something for nothing. That, not a grant. That's
Right.
how we can help you. That's how Fay Penn can help you. Because listen, I've given Jim Kunkel's number to many people because I've said to them, this is the guy you need to call first.
Sure. Yeah.
Get him to help you because and he doesn't do it himself. He has students that do it, and that's what that program is for. Yeah.
And that partnership, and the way that it is free for Fayette County residents is that we pay. We make that payment to St. Vincent to solidify that partnership and to arrange that. So, that's something that we're able to do. And I totally lost my train of thought. Because I was going to say I was going to move on to a different topic, and now I have.
So
I'll come back to.
Why don't we talk about what jobs are? What are the top jobs and the top needs in Fayette County? Why don't we go something like that?
Sure.
So, there's a list that the state puts out, the high priority occupations of Fayette County workforce development area, which is incredible to me because I would think that I would never guess these things. I mean, I would like to just have this could be a trivia game at a bar one day. You could just ask those questions because you would never think that the top three that are needed right now, jobs that are needed right now, are 433 jobs, 320 jobs, and 244 jobs. That's what's needed right now. Actually, let's go to the top four because the next one's 219. That's nursing assistants. So medical is a major player. I'm looking at this list. There's like 3 or 4 medicals in the top 10. Registered nurses are in there, stuff like that. So, heavy and tractor trailer truck drivers is the number one job right now. And if you think about that, it's crazy to think that 433 truck driving jobs and tractor trailer jobs are sitting out there. And what people don't realize is, you talk about free, they can get through, and I know the program is out there still, they can get training right out at the airport. Yeah, through Douglas and through now I lost the word, the group. The PIC does that.
Okay, Private Industry Council.
Yeah, Private Industry Council. So there's an opportunity. So get a hold of them, get your license, and get a job. It's there.
Right.
It's ready to go. I mean, manufacturing is big in the county. Energy. We see all these solar fields being built. Whether you like them or you don't, there's still work in it. There's still jobs there.
Right.
And listen, that's the way of the future. It's not they're tearing coal-fired power plants down. We need power because a data center needs power.
Correct.
And those are the things that we have to start looking at. What are the priorities? What is the future? Look at Beaver. They built the cracker plant up there because they did a study and found out that's what they needed. That's what would fit on that land. They went to Texas and found Shell, and Shell said yes. And now how many jobs are up there?
Right.
Just that, and it's not easy. It took them 10 years to do it.
Yes, it did.
But they got it done. And those are the things that we're not looking. Those are things that we ignore because we just don't realize that it works.
Right.
And we're too busy saying, "Oh, just bring us something that's going to give us 1,000 jobs." Okay, but we don't have the housing for those 1,000 jobs, and we don't have the workforce ready because people are too busy saying, "I don't need to work there." Just my opinion. Sorry, I went a little on the high horse.
That's okay. And we're slowly running out of time here. I can't believe I can't believe we've gone through our time that fast. But
TJ said we have 1 minute left.
1 minute. So what do we want to talk about in our last minute here,
So why don't we
Mark?
tell folks more about the housing roundtable?
So we have our housing roundtable discussion coming up next Wednesday, August the 6th. It's going to be at Penn State Fayette at the in the Biomed Building, 101 Lecture Hall. This event's from 11:30 to 1:30. There is a light lunch included, so you must RSVP.
Correct.
There is no charge to come. We have a nice sponsorship from Community Bank, so we appreciate that. If you want to RSVP to this event, you can call the chamber office actually at 724-437-4571. And again, this is a quarterly town hall type event that we will be having. So the Fay Penn, the county, the chamber, and the Fayette County Redevelopment Authority partnering and working together. And
good,
with that,
TJ?
we're done. Thank you.
All right. We will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Sounds good.
All right. And that was Raising the Region with Fay Penn today here on WMBS.
Would you like to win $1 million this summer? Get to Live Casino in Greensburg for our